Morning YouTube. Today we're going to do a quick review on the Husqvarna 450 Rancher chainsaw. I've had this guy for a few years now. It's held up pretty well, and I think it's about time I can do a review on it to let you know what I think. So I'll do a couple little tests, little funny moment or two to show you what I think, and go from there. So I do have a fresh cup of joe, so let's go. Alright, with this saw, one of the things you need to do is you need to actually grease this sprocket, and there's a hole there for that. What you do is you get one of these little grease pumps. You can get them in the section over there near the chainsaws. I got this one at Lowe's. I think it was $4, something like that. From what I understand, you can get a little fitting for your regular full-size grease gun and get it down in there. But basically what you do is, let me see if I can hold this, hang on. What you want to do is you kind of pump this, and you'll see if you look closely, I kind of made a smeared mess of it there for a second, but you can see where it's coming out of the area there. I don't know if I can get a good shot of that. Try from this angle for you. If you watch right down there in between the chain, you can see where it's kind of pushing out right there. Once it starts pushing out, that's way too much grease, by the way. I did that for your benefit to see that. Your sprocket's good to go. Every now and then that hole does get a little bit clogged up. It was clogged up this time. That's why there's so much grease there. I had to clear it out. I just used the sharp end of the round file there, kind of clean the gunk out of there, and then it pumps right in there with no problem. All right. One of the nice things about this saw is how easy it is to start. This thing has not been run since sometime in the midsummer. When I was doing some cutting, I sharpened up the chain and whatnot, but to prove to you that it's not hot, that's the muffler. I'll even give it a little smooch for you and let, see, it is not hot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just step over here, and we're gonna start it up. To do that, you wanna push in that button, make sure your chain's locked, and you're gonna prime this thing. Bella, go. Make sure your animal's away. Yeah, go. You don't want to be there. Good girl. And you have this choke lever all the way up. And it starts to roll over. Once it does that, move that down. Give it some gas. And that's it. So as you can see, it starts up nice and easily. Okay, so one of the next things you need to understand is getting to the chain, tightening it, and putting it back on if it comes off. It just takes one bolt. This thing. I normally have that a little tighter. I broke it loose for you right there to make it easier. And slide that guy off. And then to remove the chain, you would just take it off and take it up like that, just like anything else. To put it back on is just the reverse. And you just tighten that guy up. To tighten the chain, you want to pull this out and kind of hold that bar out when you're coming down on it. And you actually have in here, like as you're working on it, if it's not, maybe a little tight actually. You actually want to, you can turn this little screw in there and it'll kind of fine tune the tightening for you there. Okay, just to give you a closer look on how this tightening works, you can see this is obviously too loose. I've got this backed off just enough to make it so that chain and the bar can move. And what you do is you just get this in here, and when you turn it, you can see it's tightening up. And when it gets to where you want it, you just go and tighten that back up the rest of the way. Cinch it down real good so it doesn't want to go anywhere. And that's how you tighten up the chain. one of the things about this saw is this is all plastic all around it, which personally I don't mind. I use it as a homeowner around here on the homestead. I cut my firewood each year, cut some from my mother-in-law. It is not aluminum or steel or anything like steel brand. But for my purposes, I mean, you can see it's still in great shape, and it's been a few years since I've had that. All right, next thing is to get into where the spark plug and stuff is. This is all under this case here. I guess you could do that with your finger, but I'll just use the tool that came with it. And basically you pop these. They look like straps, but they're not straps. And you can get down in there. Here's your spark plug. Here is your air filtering. So I actually need to kind of clean that off. Down in there is where your carburetor is and everything. That air filter just fits right back on there and just kind of clips back into place. This is also where your primer bulb is. This is where you get to that should you ever need to replace that or anything like that. It's really easy to get off. Getting it back on is just as simple. Just put the piece right on top. Make sure I think that's a compression valve there is there. And these things just kind of push in so they click. Get them all clicked and we're good to go. Okay, next thing, the chain brake or chain lock, I guess. I think it's chain brake is the technical term for it. You want to make sure you use this, don't deactivate it anyway. You can see how it kind of flops around like this. The idea here is when you're cutting, should you slip and pull forward, it locks and that chain's not going anywhere. When you're starting it, like I said, make sure that's forward and it operates easily. It just back and forth. You want to make sure that, you know, that's that way. If you start the saw up and your chain's not moving, make sure your chain lock's not activated. Also, if you look right there, it's your gas and oil mix. Sometimes I find this thing is really hard to get off, so I just use the end of the tool and turn it. And this is where your car oil goes. Same thing. Sometimes it gets difficult to get off of there. Just make sure you kind of brush the crud off of there so it doesn't go down in there. And unscrew it. You can see I actually need to refill that, but I won't do that till I go cut firewood later. And you've got your bucking spikes here. Nice thing about this saw, it's got plenty of power. You can actually get a longer bar on it. I got a buddy of mine who's got one that's, I want to say his is 24 inches or something like that. But you know, if you need to buck what you're cutting, you got those right there to do that with. I do carry a little bag with me. This is actually my weed eater junk too. But this little bag, it's got basic stuff you might need all out there. Extra oil mix and whatnot. Files, tools, the grease, all that good stuff you might need. So it's just an easy way to kind of keep stuff together. And that's just one of these little $5 jobs from Harbor Freight. So $100, $150 saw versus, you know, $400 saw. Ultimately, you're the only one that can decide whether it's worth the money to you. I wouldn't go back and do it any differently. You can see it's been a while since I've used it. I got the rust on the bar. I need to take care of that. But, you know, it runs great. It's not failed me yet. I've got a video on how to sharpen that chain. I'll link that in the description and on that end card there. But overall, I would definitely say it's been worth every penny. I cut my firewood every year with it, and it's held up great. So, you know, if I were to go ahead and give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, I'm definitely gonna have to say this one's a thumbs up. So anyway, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe. Any questions or anything about the saw, please comment below. I appreciate it. Take care.